I was able to go in person and talk to my customers directly, which is invaluable for a founder to be able to speak directly with a customer and get that feedback firsthand. And also see people's physical reactions to buying the product. Were people walking up to the table and looking at it and kind of cocking their head and being like, I don't get it? Or were they walking up and being like, whoa, what is this? Did they balk at the price point? Like, there's so many things that you can learn and gather from those interactions.
Welcome to another episode of From Startup to Wunderbrand with Nicholas Kuhner. Now, this is going to be the first episode that I do where we talk about mushroom spray. So for those of you who don't know what that is, we're going to learn a little bit about that as we go through this. But I'm very excited to have Trish Mock, the founder of Good Psyche. And Good Psyche was founded on the premise that medicinal plants bring balance to the body, solace to the mind, and help illuminate our inner and outer beauty. So Trish is a first-time entrepreneur, and she's developed prototypes on her family's medicinal farm in Western New York. And she's created Good Psyche to pique the curiosity of those seeking to evolve, demystify these healing plants and herbs, and give rise to a more connected, empathetic, and pro-social society. So not very big goals at all, right, Trish?
Right. Yeah, I really aim small for those.
Exactly. So, well, number one, welcome. And we're going to be talking today about one or two of the challenges of being a self-funded entrepreneur, being a new entrepreneur, and how you've done so far in this first year of business, and talk about some of the learnings you've had that perhaps some of our other entrepreneurial friends can pick up on. So I think it's good to start with maybe a little bit about your background, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah, so my background started in corporate tech. I had a career in corporate for 12 or 13 years before deciding to quit and build my own CPG business. But I worked my way through healthcare, consulting, and technology. I spent some time at Headspace in Los Angeles, which is a meditation app. That was probably the closest experience I got to working for a startup. And even Headspace was about 150 people strong by the time I got there. So still a very highly resourced business. And then I spent some time at Deloitte Consulting and Amazon before I finally decided to walk away very happily and pivot towards not just CPG and away from tech, but also toward beauty and wellness. So as you mentioned, this is my first year in business with Good Psyche, and I learned many hard lessons that might be valuable for some of your listeners to hear. I'm happy to share those.
So for those of the listeners who don't know all of the jargon in the industry, can you explain what a CPG is?
Yeah, consumer packaged goods. So it's basically tangible products, things that you would purchase at drugstore, at Sephora, at the grocery store, so on and so forth. And so it was a huge change from building software products. There's just a lot.
So let's go into that. So you've worked at some of the big boys, Deloitte and Amazon. So you've been in the belly of the beast. And how hard can it be? So let's talk about some of your products. So let's tell folks what you actually do, and we can bring in our mushroom mist.
Sure. So I'm the founder of Good Psyche. Good Psyche is what I refer to as a well beauty brand. We make plant-based products for inner and outer beauty. And so I'm really focused on what's going to make you feel better on the inside and what is going to make you beam on the outside. So I will go through our product lineup briefly. We actually have 3 SKUs that I launched with. And the first one is a euphoric mouth spray. It's called Sidekick. The idea being that you can take it with you anywhere and it's always by your side to make you feel a little bit better. The really interesting thing about this mouth spray is that it's formulated with an empathogenic succulent plant that's native to South Africa. And it's been used for millennia to help boost mood and to do all sorts of other amazing things for both your physical and emotional health. Being an empathogenic ingredient, it quite literally makes users feel more empathy, joy, and optimism. The mushroom mist that you referred to is on our product called Glisten Up. So this is kind of the outer beauty aspect of the product family. And this is made with tremella or snow mushroom, and it's known as the beauty mushroom. It's been used since ancient China, and it's ultra hydrating, super nourishing for your skin, and very protective for your skin. So these two really represent that inner and outer beauty aspect of Good Psyche. And the third SKU that we have is a fun one. These are our Blue Lotus flower pre-rolls, and they're actually made with 100% organic Blue Lotus flower. That's all that's in them. And Blue Lotus has been used since ancient Egypt for all sorts of ceremonial and ritualistic purposes. It's kind of a mystical plant. It's a water lily, and it's extremely relaxing. So people use it as a relaxant to help them sleep. And a very commonly reported side effect of smoking Blue Lotus is lucid dreaming. So this is a fun one for sure.
Ah, interesting. So I'm South African. So, we call those succulents faitjies. That's the word for succulent in Afrikaans.
Oh, I love
So
that.
that's quite fun. Now, one of the challenges, I suppose, when you're starting a new business like this is that you have issues regarding volume, right? So when you are producing packaging, when you're producing amounts of the various ingredients and so on, production and getting the right prices on bottles and packaging must be a bit of a challenge. Maybe talk to me through that and sort of what your goals are, how you've set, because you've come from a corporate environment. How have you set your goals for yourself in terms of sales? And how have you gone into production and figured out about printing, getting suppliers, and making sure that the mushrooms are, in fact, snow mushrooms, not shiitake mushrooms or something that the suppliers put in there sneakily?
Yeah, all good questions. Well, first off, I should say that I enlisted some help pre-launch for product development and for some of that supply chain planning, given that I had never done anything like that before. So I contracted I'd call them an incubator. They work with brands to help them set up their foundational infrastructure and help them through product development to set them up for success. And so they helped me source the labs and manufacturers and packaging suppliers, which was incredibly helpful. I obviously could have done it myself, but it probably would have taken 3 times longer. Using those existing relationships, we were able to procure top of the line packaging that we're really happy with. But I think the thing that really was the first gut punch for me as a first time founder was learning the quantities that I had to order up front. You have what are called MOQs or minimum order quantities, CPG, and that basically means that the manufacturer, the packaging supplier will say, we can only provide this at a minimum quantity of 10,000 units or 15,000 units. Being the first time, those are some big numbers. And for anyone who doesn't know, purchasing inventory is probably the biggest expense you will have within the first year, certainly pre-launch. So that was a big pill to swallow for me, for sure.
And that's a minimum of $50,000 per order, basically, at those kind of numbers. I know because we've had a look at bringing some stuff out of Korea, and the minimum quantity was 10,000 units, and it's $5 a unit. So you're like, can't I just buy 1,000? 1,000 is better. Can we just do 1,000? So Yeah. So those are something. So how did you get around that? So obviously now you've got to go run around and find money because you're not going to make that money away straight away. Let's talk about okay, you've got a great product, you've got the packaging. That's almost the easy side. Now you've got to sell the stuff. Talk to me about your route to market.
Well, to answer the first part of your question about funding, I did attempt a early stage uh, family and friends round. It was very, very small, not enough to cover that first run of inventory. So I actually ended up taking a loan out against the equity that I had in my home to pay for the inventory. And I know that a lot of self-funded founders do that, but I don't think many talk about it and the risk that you take on. So I say that to say if there's anybody listening who's also in that boat or considering doing it, like it is a big risk, but I did what I had to do to buy the inventory. So that was that on the funding piece. Talking about mistakes and learnings, I think one of the big things as it pertains to preparing for launch and launching was I was so caught up and so focused on getting to launch. We were hosting this big launch party. We were trying to get the product shipped in on time, get the website all buttoned up, all of the things that go into making sure that your launch is going to be amazing and perfect. And once that launch was over, and it was a very successful day and weekend and week, I kind of stood there and looked around, realizing, oh shit, like I actually have to run this now. This is just the beginning of this journey. And I think that I had people around me helping me with certain aspects that were very kind of narrow in their scope. And what I neglected to pay attention to myself was what was my strategy going to really be? I had a lot of half-baked ideas of sales strategies, channels that I wanted to really lean into, but I think that it lacked a lot of focus on my part. And so that has been the big learning over the last 6 months is starting to narrow down what is going to work for this brand and for myself, knowing that I don't have a $20,000 a month marketing budget. I really have to be scrappy. I have to lean into what the brand does have in order to drive recognition and sales and build trust with our customers. So I think one of the things that I really leaned into was events. Events were very low hanging fruit that I could participate in. I was able to go in person and talk to my customers directly, which is invaluable for a founder to be able to speak directly with a customer and get that feedback firsthand. And also see people's physical reactions to buying the product. Were people walking up to the table and looking at it and kind of cocking their head and being like, I don't get it. Or were they walking up and being like, whoa, what is this? Did they balk at the price point? Like there's so many things that you can learn and gather from those interactions. So events have been huge for me. I've done dozens of them. They're exhausting, but our products sell incredibly well at in-person events. And that led me to starting to believe maybe tapping into boutique retailers is going to be one of my best sales strategies because I don't have the funds to pour money into meta ads or, onboard us to Amazon and pay the $20,000 a month it costs to stay relevant on there and so on and so forth. So events and retailers in this first, however many months have been the primary channels and strategy.
Well, it sounds like you're going all in. I've spoken to quite a few founders and entrepreneurs who are doing the project that they're talking about as a on the side job. and they've got 3 or 4 other things on the boil. And I always look at these guys and I think half of you are going to be out of business in a couple of months or a year at least, because they're not fully invested. They haven't put their house on the line, for example, like yourself. And as an entrepreneur, it's really important to be standing at the cliff's edge almost, because you have no alternative to fail, not allowed to fail. And that for me is an extremely important psychological benefit somebody has as an entrepreneur, where you will force this product and this brand into being, even if it is a terrible idea, for example. It will work better than somebody else who's doing it in a half-assed manner.
Right. I will tell you, I started building Good Psyche while I was still at Deloitte, very, very early days of Good Psyche. Then I was at Amazon. And when you have those golden handcuffs on, it's just impossible to fully plug in to what you're trying to build. And also, you don't have scarcity, that feeling of scarcity and that fear that, I have to make this work because I don't have a paycheck anymore. So I kind of had to force myself, not that I wanted to stay, but I still had to force myself to make that leap and leave Amazon, leave a very lucrative, comfortable 12-year career in corporate tech with all of its benefits and perks, and say, I'm going to throw myself into this now fully 100%. And I think it does. I think it will pay off. I think it already has shown that, we've been able to create a really beautiful brand with a strong visual identity, and people are taking us seriously, which I think is amazing and proves that it's not a hobby brand.
I've just got to ask, what was the day of you quitting like? What made you decide this is the day I'm going for it?
It was around my birthday. And every year on my birthday, as I'm sure is the case for many people, it's a time of reflection. Perhaps I'm a little too hard on myself around that time of year because I tend to take stock of all of the things that I haven't accomplished by the time my birthday comes around. And so I was taking stock and had a heart to heart with myself and also with my closest family and friends, just saying, I think I'm really gonna do this and step away from this safety net. And to be honest, some people said I shouldn't. And that's when I think you really have to listen to your gut and what's going to make you happy day to day. And so I pulled the plug on Amazon and I walked away. And to be honest, I've never looked back. And I think that I like to say my worst days with Good Psyche, feeling defeated, having, failed at something, whatever it was, my worst days with Good Psyche still don't hold a candle to my worst days at Amazon because I was miserable. I just wasn't meant to be there. So I have no doubt that this is what I'm meant to be doing right now.
Well, that's very exciting and awesome. Now, you didn't just create this brand from scratch. You've actually grown up with these kinds of products. Maybe talk to me about the inspiration a little bit behind Good Psyche.
Yeah, our story is so important because Good Psyche is really rooted in a a lifestyle that I grew up around, and it's inspired by my mother and this place where she lives. My mother runs a medicinal herb farm. It's actually a regenerative medicinal herb farm in Western New York. It's a really beautiful place. It's very magical. It's just inspiring to be here. And she is an herbalist by trade. She practices traditional medicine. And she has an acupuncture clinic here on the property where she actually uses formulas from herbs that she's grown and harvested right here on the farm. So it's really like a full circle operation. And this was the place that initially inspired Good Psyche. It's the place where I created our initial prototypes. And my mother, being the inspiration for the brand, she also serves as an unofficial consultant on some of our ingredient stacks and the way that we combine ingredients in our formulas. So that's a little bit about the story behind it. And I think that when I was creating Good Psyche, I wanted to make sure that the brand had depth. And I didn't want it to just be a skincare brand. I also didn't want it to just be a supplement or a wellness brand. I wanted to incorporate both in this concept that I've dubbed Well Beauty, which is really a holistic approach to inner and outer beauty. And so that's what we've done. And it's very much been, the farm is very much the impetus for the creation of this brand.
One of the positives, I guess, is that this is such a positive business to be in. You are not selling cheap knockoffs. You are not selling Gucci bags. You are not selling lifestyle. You are selling nutraceuticals. You are using natural products and elements like that. So it must also have quite a good feel good aspect to it as you are working as well. And for those who are working with you, I can make a suggestion in terms of sales. Now, one of the challenges a lot of businesses have is when it comes to sales, and you're the founder and you're obviously chief salesperson as well. So you're the one with all of this on the back of you. If one looks at companies like Apple, if one looks at a whole bunch of other companies, they have a very talented founder, but then they have to have the sales or the tech person behind it. And your next step probably is to get a proper salesperson, because generally people coming from the UX and design background are good at selling concepts, but are not good at the hard sell, which is what is required for this. So that may be going to be your first big hire, is a proper head of sales, basically. And talking about sales, and you mentioned having small budgets. I would like to give you a little bit of comfort that not having big budgets is not such a bad thing. I worked for two amazing companies which had minuscule budgets but made huge impact beyond their marketing budgets. And the one was Nando's, which is a company that sells flame grilled peri peri. It's the number one restaurant chain that's come out of South Africa. And the second one is MTV. So I was head of marketing for MTV for Africa. And we had tiny budgets, and we did amazing things with our budgets because people wanted to work with us. And part of having small budgets but having big expectations in you is that you've got to come with very innovative ways of promoting yourself. So that's something that I don't feel bad that you don't have huge budgets. There are lots of amazing companies and brands that have built themselves up from nothing with very small budgets. So never let that be something that you think, oh, if only I had a bit more budget. You will come up with some marvelous ideas. And talking about marvelous ideas, I wanted to go into a little bit of your digital strategy, because you say you don't have $20,000 a month for Amazon and possibly for Meta. So where is your advertising spend going online? I see you're using influencers like Phoebe McPherson, and I loved some of her posts. I had a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about how you're building your brand online, and is it for awareness or is it for driving sales, or a mix?
Right now, I'd say primarily for awareness. I've been tapping into influencer marketing, which interestingly enough, about half of the influencers we've worked with have approached me. I did not go out and find them. So I need to start asking them how they found me. I think it's
Yes.
some of the events that we sponsor. We sponsor, I've sent in kind products to events in Miami and in New York and all over the country. And so after those events, I'll get DMs from influencers who were in attendance saying, I love this product. I had a chance to try it at X event and, would love to work with you. So that's been the primary driver of awareness for our digital strategy. One of the other things, because I'm not really dumping funds into Meta right now, is leveraging my skill, which is writing. So I don't have a social media person who can make all of these beautiful reels and things like that. We do have really nice product photography, I must say, which I do post, but I don't have someone making content every single day. And anybody knows it's exhausting for a founder to make all of their own content and be posting daily. And so I do the best that I can, but what I'm really good at, as I mentioned, is writing. So one of the things that I've leaned into when it comes to building awareness is writing a blog and really starting to improve the SEO of our website through the blog and also through my Substack. So that's what I've really been leaning into right now. 2025 will probably take me down slightly different paths or new paths when it comes to digital advertising. And I'd love to hear your take on that. My biggest question to date has always been whatever little resources or funds that I have to put into this, where should it go? Like, what's going to be the biggest bang for my buck?
Well, that is the $1,000,000 question, and I must be honest. I think you're doing it the right way. A lot of companies, and I've seen this in almost all the companies I've worked at, think that digital marketing is a silver bullet. And I know we talk about digital marketing on this channel, but the way that you're going about it in terms of face-to-face and building it up from the ground up and understanding your customer, seeing them hold the packaging, seeing them opening it up, seeing what their face looks like and being able to answer specific questions is the most important part of your role right now. You need to spend the next 6 months to a year understanding your customer deeply, understanding pain points, asking them pointed questions. You asked that question about the influencers. Where did they find you? That's the kind of, you already know what to ask, Trish. So you've got it in your head. Obviously, you've only got a certain amount of hours in your day. But as you very well know, being an entrepreneur is not a game for people who don't have strong spines and a work ethic. So it's going to be hard work, and you will be an overnight success, as my listeners will know, in 10 years. This is not something where you're going to be making a fortune in the next 6 months, unless you get onto Oprah or if she's still in the country, or any of these other celebrities who have promised to leave the country. But you know, there is the opportunity to have something that explodes overnight. But this is a type of business that needs time to grow, time to build your market, and you need to be seen. And where you can get great advantage from is building your personal brand. Because a lot of these nutraceutical or beauty brands are faceless giants. There's L'Oreal, Estee Lauder, and companies like that behind it, where it's all done. The goop is scooped, is swilled in a big container in China and then shipped over in pretty packaging. You've got a completely different story. And I think with the changing environment in the US as well, and I'm not sure what your feelings are about RFK, but also with more natural and healthier products for Americans, this is the right time to be pushing these type of products. So those are the kind of folks who you want to, get talking to or link into and into the new zeitgeist. So writing is great. I love that you're on Substack. I think it's one of the fastest growing channels out there, because people aren't getting as good feedback on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook as they were in the past. We need to go back to building small communities of influence and using Substack and building that and starting to offer services and special offers and that through that smaller community. And a unique community that has a voice means that that will over time, as you build up that database and you build up that credibility with them, will spread out like a mycelium through their network and grow tremendously. So I don't think spending money on Meta is the right way to go necessarily. Don't take my word for it. But I think selling it directly to these smaller boutiques, getting feedback and focusing on friends, family, and your smaller network first is the right approach. and you'll see that it grows in time. If you don't have millions in the bank to spend on advertising, you've got to grow like a chess piece, one block at a time. So don't feel frustrated that you're not at Estee Lauder's size immediately. Remember, they started out in a kitchen and have grown over 70 years or whatever it is into a multinational. So you've got time.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all great advice. And to your point, I think we're at a time in at least American culture right now where people are looking to feel better. We obviously have a pretty big mental health crisis on our hands, and a lot of people are trepidatious about going on pharmaceuticals for that. And the fact that we're able to offer a plant-based alternative or something that could be supplementary to the medications that they're on, it's very, very safe. It's non-habit forming. You really can't do harm with it. I think that's huge, and it's what a lot of people are looking for. And one of the things that's been really encouraging for me is that despite discoverability being a challenge right now, when people do find us and try our products, they love them. They absolutely love them. So I know that we're on to something. I'm learning so much about my customers every day. And that's something that we can really offer them that I think is culturally relevant right now. And the other thing I would say, to your point about our brand story and the fact that we're very much about a certain lifestyle and using more plants and being healthier. And a big part of my story this year has been my urban exodus. Leaving Austin and moving back to the farm has been very popular, and people love to hear about it because I think it's on a lot of people's minds right now. A lot of folks are thinking about leaving the city and wanting to move out and have little farmettes or do the homesteading lifestyle. And so we're able to lean into that as a brand. And I'm also able to show it to people firsthand. I can, all of the content that I capture is from right here on the farm. And I think they feel like bringing them into this world and this lifestyle and this very grounded way of living. So that's been a lot of fun too. And it feels very authentic.
Well, absolutely. And this is how great brands start out, is having an authentic journey and story like you've got here. So again, it's something that is going to take time. So one of the struggles of being an entrepreneur is that you want to see quick gains. You want some steroids, but steroids are bad for you. You need to grow at a pace that is going to work for you. And there are opportunities to look for funding. And I'll introduce you to one or two folks you can maybe chat to talk about funding and how to get you some runway so you can have a bit of breathing space, because that's what you need, but not to lose the vitality, intensity you've got now to win. Now, I've just got to, while we're on this subject, I've got to tell you a little bit about my own background. So from the age of 8 years old, I've been selling aromatherapy oils, potpourri, all sorts of plant-based, glycerine soaps and aromatherapy oils and so on. So I've been in this space since I was a young child, and I've seen my grandmother making organic soaps and organic candles and handmade this and that. So I really love this particular industry. So I hope it goes really well. And I suppose next you're going to add your ayahuasca range. So that can be phase 2. But some really exciting products. I love the backstory. I love that you've put your life on the line in terms of your house. You're not just, hopefully this works. You are 100% committed in this, which is wonderful. So where can I send folks to find out more about your products and to try these? Because if they can sell snail eye patches, you are surely able to sell snow mushroom mist. I think the naming needs to be adjusted slightly to make it sound slightly more exciting. But if they can sell snail patches, you're going to win with the mushroom spray.
Yes. Well, thank you. I believe so as well. So you can find the brand and shop the brand at seekgoodpsyche.com. You can find us on Instagram at goodpsyche_wellbeauty. And if you like to read, you can find me on Substack. My Substack is called Mall Talk by Trish. It's tangential and I'd say a parallel to Good Psyche, but I really talk about beauty and wellness industry trends. I do brand deep dives and I talk about the cultural zeitgeist. So I'm able to have a little bit of fun on Substack and I highly encourage you find me there. So Mall Talk on Substack.
Awesome. I'll stick all of these links into the description so folks can go and get their own mushroom spray. And yeah, well, Trish, it's been great chatting to you and I wish you all the best and look forward to seeing your progress.
Thank you so much.
To watch this episode live, go to our YouTube channel or go to kuhne.no. That's KUHNE.no.